and old women walking the streets of Jerusalem, children playing in the alleys, sounds of groom and bride. The ingathering of the exiles is also evident here in the Knesset, where native-born Israelis speak or mostly argue with Jews born in Morocco, the United States, Iraq, obviously former Soviet Union, Ethiopia, and elsewhere. And the issue is that we all argue in the revived Hebrew language. Together, here in the Knesset, they, or rather we, represent the tapestry that is Israeli society and the hallmark of our democratic culture. But the full extent of that mosaic includes my Arab colleagues, no less valued and no less important for faithfully representing their constituencies. Sadly, there are those who question these sentiments, who doubt Israel's commitment to democratic principles of equality. Of late, I, as a speaker, hear all kinds of questions about the nation-state law, the basic law, Israel as the nation-state. Let me be clear. The nation-state law and other legislation like it does not and will not single out any group for unfair treatment. I assure you, no law will ever permit second-class citizenship in this country. At the same time, Israel is, by our definition, and that of the UN partition plan, a Jewish state. For 7 decades now, we have examined, built, and developed a strong, vibrant democracy. Sometimes it makes the life of a speaker a nightmare here in this Knesset. Now the time has come to build the first Jewish democracy in the world, to turn Israel not just as façon de parler, but legally into a Jewish democratic state, as we all call our country. Israel is not perfect. No country is. But we are always working to build a stronger and more responsive democracy. By the way, Knesset of late, and I'm very proud of it, got a special prize for being the most transparent government institution in Israel. And this is exactly my understanding of how parliaments should look vis-à-vis their voters, their citizens. Israel's commitment to democracy, by the way, and this is relevant to many countries around the world, is especially important in light of the challenging environment in which we live, one that seems to get more complex as time goes on. For nearly 13 years, Hamas has ruled the Gaza Strip, vowing to destroy Israel through rockets, tunnels, and now even through kites. And I don't know what you see when you see a rocket flying from the Gaza Strip to Israel. And I don't know what you see when you see a tunnel that is discovered and ruined by the IDF. What I see, and I've seen the rockets and I've been to these tunnels, what I see is not a rocket or a tunnel. I see diapers, I see medicine, I see food, I see all these basic things, schools and school books, that were not purchased with this money by the Hamas leadership. It all went into rockets and tunnels. And don't misunderstand me, and you know, you're journalists, we're not talking about tunnels the style of Count Monte Cristo. We are talking about the tunnels where a car passes. So we are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars wasted on these things instead of basic needs of 1.5 million people living in the Gaza Strip. If we're talking about the north, we are facing the reality of Lebanon that is in, well, I would say practically ruled by Hezbollah, one of the most dangerous terror organizations in the world. And here in this building, in some of the committees that are not broadcast publicly, they don't call the experts Hezbollah a terror group or a terror organization anymore. They call it Islamic State. Because what we are dealing with when we are talking about Hezbollah is not catching a terrorist. It's cyber, it's more than ammunition, it's things that normally, in normal terms, you think about only when you're talking about a state, because you're not some group of terrorists. In Syria, definitely, with all the bloodbath going on there, and I want to tell you first person singular, it's a terrible feeling. It's like in all these, sometimes horror movies or something, or crime movies, when there's a terrible thing going on and you are kind of behind a locked door or some thick glass and you can't interfere and you can't do anything. It's just miles away from us, and except for treating their wounded, no strings attached, we can't do much. And this is, by the way, a very big question to the big world outside there. Israel didn't have diplomatic relations with Syria, ever. How about all those countries who had diplomatic relations with Assad the father and Assad the son? Couldn't they, for a change, find 1, 2, 3 freedom-loving and Syria-loving, for God's sake, people in Syria? Some opposition, some dissidents, something. No, there was that standard answer, well, Assad is what we have. He's the ruler there. Okay, I know the facts. So what do you do about it? Nothing has been done. So now it's basically bad guys fighting worse guys, and you don't find any serious opposition force there that you could openly support as a free world. And this is, by the way, even if it's a lost case in Syria, this is a big question to be asked about other countries. Because I still remember some so-called Western leaders, as opposed to some other Western leaders, real leaders without inverted commas, that used to explain to us that Brezhnev is what we have in the Soviet Union. This is the Soviet leadership. Let the sleeping dog lie. Don't rock the boat. This is something, as I've said, to be taken into consideration. But for us, though, Syria is not just immediate and present danger as Syria because of everything that goes on there. It's also Iran. The Iranians that are dreaming of emerging there and making themselves very comfortable on our borders. And this is something we won't tolerate with any condition, under any condition. No way. This is something that we just can't afford. Way, this is the position of this government, but I'm absolutely sure that in this case, I speak for probably 90% of the members of this House, because everyone understands that the present Iranian leadership has one big goal on their minds: how to destroy this country, how to wipe it off the earth. And it's not my paranoia. It's their direct quotes that are coming practically every week. But with all these challenges, as I've already said, we keep vibrant democracy. And by the way, this is an experience that is relevant, unfortunately, to many countries around the world. For many years, it was kind of an Israeli problem, all these terror attacks and all this radical Islam behind these attacks. Right now, in many European countries, you see, unfortunately, the same problem. And we are ready to share our experiences. That's what I say to many of my counterparts, leaders of parliaments around the world. The balance is the most important thing. We can't pretend the danger is not there and say, no, it's just civil rights, it's just the rights of our citizens. We won't let terrorists do anything to our democracy. We shouldn't. But we should at the same time address the issue. And the right balance developed, among other places in this country, here in this Knesset, special legislations that keep democracy strong and vibrant, but don't let the terrorists use our democracy, ride on the back of our democracy. This is something that we are prepared to share with many of our colleagues around the world, because this is really the fight of all the democracies around the world against the forces of evil. And this is a very important fight, and we will prevail without losing our democratic face. Dear friends, as our friends, you recognize the importance of Israel's political and military strengths in the face of our challenges, that are just some of them I mentioned. As supporters of human progress, you realize the need to continue building this country as a light unto the nations. As media professionals, you understand the need to tell the story of this region as it is, without trying to hide anything in this or that way. I'm asking you to take the experience of this visit, probably of this meeting and many other things that you've seen, to your audiences, wherever they may be. Bottle it all up, not just these talks, but the people you meet on the street, the tastes, the sounds, and the smells, and share widely as only you can. And I know for many of you, this is not your first trip to this country. Let us together conclude with a prayer inspired by the words of David. May we together merit to be blessed from Zion and see the good of Jerusalem all the days of our lives. Let us, who love this holy city, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and may we be blessed with peace throughout the Holy Land. Thank you for your attention.